All right, great. So can everyone hear me and see me? I'm Dr. Glusman. I think that you know who I am at this point. I am awesome. Yes, good. So you can stay off camera. You can be on camera. I love on camera because then I don't feel like I'm talking to a box. So just feel free to do what feels right for you. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. And yeah, and I love to see your faces so I can kind of get to know you over the course of the next several weeks, months. Um, so let's just jump right in. I am so super excited. Congratulations to all of you who recently joined the Eczema Rescue Program. For those of you who are coming back, welcome back. I am so happy that you're here. I see so many familiar faces and new faces as well. It's awesome. So I wanted to give this orientation to this new membership. So for those of you who have been inside of the Eczema Rescue Program for some time and you noticed the massive upgrades that we made with all new videos and the different modules, all new PDFs and uploads, all the new content and the way that it's spread out, it might look so different. So I wanted to give you an orientation. And for those of you who just joined, big, huge welcome. I'm so excited that you are embarking on this journey with all of us and with me. So this is a 6-month program. It used to be a 30-day program, and there was just so much information that needed to be said that it had to turn into a 6-month program. This used to be a program that worked on reversing eczema and also asthma and allergies. For some of you that have kids who have allergies, I think a lot of you have kids who have allergies, whether they be having food allergies or seasonal allergies. This program also works on that, as well as asthma or wheezing or something called reactive airway. So just keep in mind that those specific chronic problems are not necessarily addressed in very often, but this program does also work on the root cause of those problems. So you're embarking on a 6-month program. I wanted to show you all of the steps that basically will help you guarantee your success. This program really aims to empower you to reverse your child's chronic eczema. So over the next 6 months, I will teach you live about the method and the program that I've used first with my own child and then my private practice patients at Blossom Pediatrics. And that worked so well for the families of my private practice when it came to their eczema and allergies and asthma to transform their symptoms from the inside out that I had to make this into an online class, because I think that everyone needs to have this information if they want it. You don't need to come see me in my practice in New York or New Jersey to be able to implement these steps that are so impactful, so rooted in evidence-based medicine, so holistic, so makes sense, that you probably won't find from your conventional doctors. I am actually also a conventional doctor. I work in a hospital setting. I teach medical students and residents. And so I'm well versed in the realm of what treatments and modalities and suggestions and advice is given to families of kids who struggle with chronic eczema. And there is nothing wrong with that information, but all of those treatments, all of the recommendations, all of the prescriptions, their aim, their goal, their only purpose is to reduce symptoms. So you're never going to not use the information given to your child from their doctors, but you are going to start looking at the root cause of what created this problem in the first place and work through that little by little over the next 6 months, maybe less, maybe more. So we are going to transform eczema symptoms that are related to gut dysbiosis, inflammation, toxic overload. This program combines a variety of different modalities. I'm going to throw a few words out there. There's integrative medicine here. There's functional medicine. There's a holistic approach. There is traditional wisdom. We speak a lot about topical solutions. We do talk about Band-Aid solutions. We speak about steroid creams as well. The whole point is to combine all the modalities that create an environment in your child's body that gives them the tools that they need to reverse this problem so that they could finally have clear skin. This approach focuses on the root cause of chronic illness so that the symptoms can go away, so the long-term eczema will go away. So I know that you believe in all this already because you are here, and I'm just So excited that so many of you showed up today. You'll notice that this program also addresses factors other than skin and gut health. We speak about all the factors that influence health, wellness, and disease, including the body, the mind, the spirit, and community. So I want you to get really excited to begin this fantastic transformational journey, because you might see some surprising improvements. So let me give you a little bit of a breakdown of all the essential information that you need to make this program super successful, because there are a lot of parts. I'm going to show you where to start. I'm going to show you what your child's success plan looks like. I'm going to show you how to use all the different tools that are in this program that speak to you so that you can access everything properly. So this is just a little bit of homework. It's like first day of school, make sure that everyone has their textbook and knows what to do and where to go. So what you need to get started is, when you entered the program, you gained access to the Digital Eczema Rescue Program. And this is kind of like the textbook of the program. It's full of information. I'm actually going to show it to you in a few minutes when I share my screen. But if you haven't gotten that email separately, it's a separate email from Blossom Pediatrics PC with the link and your login password. Please check your spam folder too. And if you can't find it, please email me. It's Dr. Glusman at blossompediatrics.com. I'll also type it in the chat box in a few minutes, just in case. Sometimes things get lost in the mail. So it's from a company called Kajabi. That's where the platform that houses the program. And I really want to make sure that you have access to the program. If you can't remember the password, you could definitely reset it. Make sure that you remember which email you registered for the program with, because that's how you're going to access the program. Reset your password if you don't remember it. If you can't find that email, just check your spam or just go and reset your password and they'll send it right over. The next part of this program is the private Facebook group. This is not the Eczema Rescue Club, which is open to anybody that would like to join. This is a private Facebook group, and it has only the folks, the moms and dads, the families that are going through this program with you. So it's very specific to what I'm teaching, to what we're doing, to the steps that are being implemented in this very comprehensive program. This is the place where you can get support, where you can give support, where you can share your successes, where you can ask questions, share recipes. And although I'm not going to answer specific medical questions about your child, because I'm not your child's doctor, unless you're a patient of Blossom Pediatrics, I can and will provide support and answers to general questions. So it's kind of like having an expert in your pocket, and I want you to use it. It is my most favorite place to go every single day. I look forward to logging in and answering the questions, because I love it that you're doing the work, you have the questions. And please, if you do have a question, don't email it to me directly. And although I would love to answer it one-on-one, I mean, unless it's something that you don't feel comfortable asking, please go ahead and email it. I want to make sure you feel fully supported. But very often, everyone is having the same questions. It repeats over and over again. And so me answering the question inside this private group, the Eczema Rescue Program closed group, will help all the other parents who are asking the same question. Maybe they just didn't type it up yet. So this is my favorite place to go. I hope that when you log into Facebook, this is going to be your favorite place to go for inspiration and troubleshooting. And I want you to really lean on that. Then there's a live schedule, and that live schedule of when we meet live, the live component of this program, will be in several places. In a few minutes, I'll show you where it is inside the Eczema Rescue Program. It's, if you kind of want to jot it down, it's under Program Introduction, and the module is called Live Schedule. And this is where you will see when we will be meeting live. It's usually posted about a month before we meet. I'm also going to be sending emails to remind you. There's going to be about 3 emails sent out before a live event, like 3 days before, about 1 day before, and then the morning of, because I know not everyone remembers. And there's a really nifty link where you could like click on the Add Events link, That will be under the program, and that will subscribe you to the calendar so you don't miss any of the lives and you don't have to keep checking. I love technology. Sometimes it works really well for us, like in this case where we get to work on reversing eczema together at the comfort of our own home. So here's what you need to know to work through the content, okay? The essential part of the program is the 30-day Conquer Eczema protocol. These are the 4 weeks. This is what I'm going to be teaching to you today. There are 4 modules divided into 4 weeks, and there will be videos, handouts, and recipes. And although it's created as a 4-week comprehensive eczema transformation protocol, you can really go at your own pace. I repeat, this is really important. You don't have to do every single thing exactly when it's written for you to do. If it doesn't feel right for your family, these are general suggestions that work well in general, but every child is different, every family is different. And if it's too many changes at once and it doesn't feel right for you, for your family, for your little one especially, if things are getting stressful, please go at your own pace. Take as much time as you need, just go in order. So if you want to stay on week 1 for 2 months, please by all means do so. This is not a rush. This is something where you have to really ask yourself what feels right when you're making these changes, so that no one is stressed out, especially your young one who's suffering with eczema. So go in order, take as much time as you need. We will be meeting basically for 4 meetings per month. 2 of those meetings will be educational, like we're doing now, and then 2 of them will be the Q&A sessions after the educational component. So today's educational component is a little longer, but you'll see that there's 2 different events today. One is the live, and then there's the Q&A. It's like office hours, where you can ask me questions about what I just taught. You could ask me questions about anything related to your child and their eczema transformation. If you don't worry, if you are too busy to join one week, you will always find this recording both inside the program under live teaching. I will show where that module is in just a few minutes. I will also be posting it inside the group in a few days rather, after we have that live call. I just need my team to make edits to these live videos. So all of the concepts, the actions, the results, the modules, they really build upon the previous in these 4 weeks in this protocol. So you can take as much time as you need, but please go in order. Too many changes at once can act as stressors on your child's body. So following a step-by-step approach to healing, in any healing, really assures that the symptoms of change are maximized and stressors are minimized. This is the most comprehensive and quickest way for your child to find permanent relief. I will be teaching this to you today, this 30-day Conquer Eczema protocol, and also I will teach it to you every month because you could always come back to it. So let's see, what else do I want to tell you? Okay, let me actually show you instead of telling you. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what the program looks like. So I have here, okay, here we go. So I have here what the program looks like when you log in, the digital program. I can see who's logging in, who can. So please, I know everyone's busy, but I'm going to be teaching to you a lot of things today, but all of the information is written for you. So this is what the program looks like on a screen, like on a desktop or laptop, but there's also a really, really amazing app called Kajabi, which put the program that we have here inside like a screen on your phone, on your smartphone. So it looks really easy to navigate. So you could listen to it in the car, you could read it as you wish. So it's also really mobile ready. So you're going to start here where it says start here. This is the program introduction. You'll see a little bit of a welcome. There's a video all about me, the program outline, which I'm also explaining to you right now. And then here's the live teaching schedule. And this is what it looks like. You'll see this calendar here. This is really important. You can go, right now it's November. You can see here that there's today's date. We have the 4 powerful weeks to eczema transformation. And then we have the office hours after that. And if you go into December, you'll see that there's 2 dates already scheduled. If I feel like there's so many people on a call and not everyone's getting their questions answered, I'm going to add more and more dates. And the way to make sure that you don't miss anything is to click on the subscribe button here. You could also print out this calendar. So if you subscribe to this calendar, when I make updates forever and ever, you will have these these lives integrated into your calendar. So this is the live teaching. Okay, back to the program introduction. The epidemic of chronic childhood illness module is pretty heavy and thick. It's kind of optional, but I think it's worth it. It's a long read if you're like looking for a nighttime read. There's a lot of science there. It explains why we need to understand that the way to reversing eczema doesn't lie in symptom management. And some of you already have heard me talk about this so much, but it's really powerful and it's really important. So there's that, and then there's a soft sign assessment. This is super important as well. So there's a little video explaining what the soft sign assessment is, and then there's the actual assessment. So here's a bit about it, but then there's downloads. When you click on a download, it will take you to the actual download. So a lot of these modules will have downloads. This assessment is going to help you determine if what you're doing is helping or not. It's really difficult to know if what you're doing is helping your child or not when you're in it. This is going to look at all the different parts of your child's body, of all of their systems, of how they're doing now. It's kind of like the baseline. So it does ask a lot of questions about skin health, how often your child needs medications. This is for yourself. No one else will look at it. You like plug in the number based on the recommendations, like how, based on 1 through 5, and then you add it all up. And I want you to make sure that you save it, like save a copy of this PDF or print it out, do it by hand. Also recommending to consider taking some before photos just for yourself to see what your child's skin looks like. And you're going to do this before you make any changes, okay? And then there's another long read about the myths behind eczema, allergies, and asthma. So that's the program introduction. It's always there, okay? The next program that we're going to be talking about today is the 30-day Conquer Eczema program. So this is what I'll be teaching you today. Today, we will talk about what steps week by week in the next 4 weeks you will need to take to really reverse your child's eczema. So this is where you'll find the detailed information. So although I will be teaching you about what it means to remove refined sugars, there's a video, you can listen to the video, like if you're driving, which is something I love to do, you can just listen to everything. There's a lot of information, and then there's resources, like here's a whole list of where hidden sugars are. Here's the whole list of like what sugar addiction is. There's a lot of videos to link. It's a lot of information. You don't have to read all of it. I'm going to teach you what you need to know, the no fluff version now. And if you're looking for like more information, if you want to do a deep dive, I've spent years getting this information together. So it's a little heavy. I'm also very nerdy. So you don't have to click on all the links. You will not need to read all this to be successful. There's a lot to read about, but what you do need to be successful in the next 4 weeks is to just follow the steps that I will outline shortly. Okay, so this is the what that looks like. Let me just navigate back to what I wanted to tell you. There's handouts, there's PDFs, don't miss them. There's printables. No matter how you like to learn, there's something there for you. If you have questions, please email me, drglusman@blossompediatrics.com. My email address is all over the place, or you could just reply back to any of the emails that you got about the lives, and I will answer your questions. It's going to be answers either from myself or from my team. let's see. Okay. Finally, this information is an online program. It's informational, it's educational. It's not intended to be a substitute for the professional medical advice of your child's doctors. So please follow their recommendations always and use this information as educational. This is not a doctor-patient relationship. If you would like to become a patient of mine and my practice, Blossom Pediatrics, you can learn more about that at blossompediatrics.com, which is a practice located in New York and New Jersey. Finally, a few notes of success. I just wanted to kind of get on the same page about what our goals are. Usually, when you follow the steps in this program, you will start to see pretty great improvement in about 30 days or so. Sometimes it's a couple of weeks, sometimes it's a week if a trigger is eliminated, for example. Sometimes it's a few months. There is no clear success path. It kind of looks like this when you're improving, okay? So it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back very often. Don't get discouraged, please. This is actually really normal. Do what feels right for your family. I've taken thousands of families through this kind of process, maybe not this specific one, but a similar one. So these tips that I'm giving you to help you succeed comes just from experience of working through this for myself and for all the families that we worked on in this kind of program where it took time. It was a chronic illness that we worked with, and it's not always linear. So if you feel like you're getting discouraged, please consider leaning on your community. Come to these lives, go to the member-only Facebook group for ideas, for support. Like if you're feeling like times are tough, we've all been there, or we will all be there at some point or another. There are a lot of great resources for this empowered community. Take little steps at a time, don't rush. And if you deviate from the plan, just come right back to it. No stress is needed to succeed here at all. In about 30 days, you might start to see significant improvement in your child's skin. In about 6 months, you will start to really transform your child's eczema from the inside out, and maybe you won't need to worry so much about their health or their future. Maybe you're not going to the doctor so much, you're not using so much resources like time, money, energy to manage all the symptoms. Maybe you start to really understand how this information can impact your whole family. Maybe you just won't need me or us or this community or this membership anymore, and that's really the goal. Okay, the goal is not to lean on this program forever. The goal is to give you all the tools that you need in the next 6 months to transform your child's eczema from the inside out and outside in. Okay, so the lesson today is the 30-day or the 4-week Conquer Eczema protocol. This is really powerful 4 weeks where we remove toxins, we remove inflammation, we replace nutrients, we repair the gut lining, and we repopulate the microbiome. Okay, so in week 1, and if you're missing any of the information, I want you to just go inside the digital program where everything is written out for you. So here's how you're going to do it. Take the assessment before you start anything. Take some photos if you wish of your child's skin now, and then go through the program. Here's what you're going to do. In the first week, you're going to remove toxins and inflammation. And the reason we do this is because we want to lower the inflammatory overload that your child might be having because they're having eczema symptoms from this inflammation. It's helpful to remove a lot of the inflammation first because your child will not have such a hard time healing their gut lining and reversing and basically reversing dysbiosis or microbiome disturbances if there's just not a lot of inflammation to fight against. So this is probably the hardest part, to be honest, and I really don't want you to think of this program as eliminations. So many families get stuck in the removing stuff and not thinking about what do we add to be successful. And this is where most families with their kids, when they're trying to make these changes, they remove. It gets really hard. It doesn't work the way we want it to. We're removing things not because they're triggers specifically, maybe not because they're allergies, maybe they are, but really because we want to lower the general inflammation of your child's body. So first, we remove refined sugar. What does that mean? It means every single sugar that is not raw, organic, local, unpasteurized, which means not boiled or pressure heated honey. That's the first sugar that's allowed. And the second sugar that's allowed is fruit, any kind of fruit, okay? Removing this as much as you can. I mean, if your child is having a birthday party and it's their birthday and they want to have cake, I don't think you need to be super strict. Remove these things as much as you can. And I know what you're asking, but what about coconut sugar? What about maple syrup? All of these might be better versions of our plain white sugar, but it's still very inflammatory. And if we're working to restore your child's health, this is really a very powerful place to start, as much as you can. Now, if you go out, if your child has ice cream, if they have a sweet treat, if something happens in school and they have that sweet, they're not going to go back to having an eczema flare and you've ruined all the progress you've made. That's absolutely not true. But as much as you can, consider not adding the usual amount of sugar that you might have in the past. Be very careful with how much sugar your child is having. I don't want you to count sugar. I don't want you to count carbs. I just want you to ask yourself, is my child having cereal and there's a bunch of sugar in it? Or is sugar added to the tomato sauce, for example? Sugar is added to a lot of processed foods. So much extra sugar added in yogurts that are sweetened. Start looking at labels and try to remove everything that is not honey and fruit. There's a hack that I just added to the program. It's called date syrup. You can make it yourself at home, or you could buy a really high quality version. It's the only two ingredients are dates and water, and dates are fruit, so you're allowed to use it in moderation, of course, because it is pretty sweet. The second thing you're going to consider removing is removing gluten, and because you're removing gluten, a large amount of glyphosates. Glyphosates are basically chemicals that are sprayed on wheat, modern wheat. It's not gluten specifically that's the problem for a lot of kids, although some might be very sensitive to gluten. It's the glyphosates on gluten containing grains that can cause a lot of harm to your child's gastrointestinal tract on contact. And it's not something that could be measured. It's not an ingredient. It's how things are grown in many countries. And so removing gluten, do not replace it with gluten-free products that have a lot of chemicals. So if there's colorings and gums and carcinogens and things you can't pronounce in that gluten-free product, don't use it. There are a ton of hacks written down inside the digital program of like ideas of replacements. For example, if your child really likes pasta, remove wheat pasta with things like Banza pasta, which is chickpea pasta. It has a ton of protein. It's the only ingredient, single ingredient. These are great. Next, remove dairy. This is also a tough one. If your child, this is not a permanent removal, by the way. We're going to do these removals for about 4 weeks, and then we're going to bring them back, and I'll explain to you how. The goal is not to remove gluten and dairy forever. The goal is to calm the inflammation so your child can heal the next few weeks. Dairy, meaning sheep or cow or goat milk. There is kind of like a question mark dairy, which is very healthy actually for the healing process. It's called ghee, G-H-E-E. You can include that in your child's diet, but all the other dairy has to go. If only for even if for just a couple of weeks, because it calms the inflammation so much. I've seen so much success when families do remove these things from their child's diet for a short amount of time. But the goal is not to remove them forever. The goal is for your child to have all the things. So we're going to bring them back in just a few weeks. By the way, removing things that are triggers or allergens or dairy or gluten, because there might be inflammatory for your child's diet if their gut is not nice and strong. Removing these things forever can actually increase your child's chance for developing allergies. And that's why we only do a removal for a short amount of time, so that we can really implement the next 3 weeks that I'll be explaining to you with greatest success. Next, and finally, for removals of week 1, we're going to remove chemicals in food. So that's all the sulfates, all the colors that are added to foods, all the preservatives that are added to foods. I want you to read your labels. If it's not a real food product, don't use it. If you have questions about if what you're using in your child's daily routine is healthy or not, or recommended, or has chemicals or not, just ask, send us a picture inside the group, and we'll all weigh in. I'll weigh in as well. This process of trying to figure out what's actually healthy took me a decade, and I'm still learning, and I still get trapped all the time when things are greenwashed. They're touted as healthy when they're really not. Things that are written as all natural. I sometimes get stuck myself, so please don't just be discouraged, and please, under any circumstances, do not feel guilty about the choices that you made for your child. Once you go into the process of learning about what real food is, and because I know that you can be like, wow, did I do this for my child? No, you didn't. What you're doing now is taking the steps to reverse their eczema. So there's no guilt here. You're just going to look ahead. You're just going to focus on them getting healthy and for their skin clearing. Week 2 is going to be replacing nutrients. Okay, this used to be a really heavy week, but I took out all the extra fluff and I moved it into different sections. So week 2 is going to be juicing and smoothies, and you're going to do that as much as possible. What do I mean by juicing? It has to be very specific, and the reason is because it helps detox. It replaces nutrients. Our kids who are having eczema are also lacking a lot of nutrients. They might be lacking a lot of minerals. They might be lacking an ability to detox properly. I could definitely assure you that they're not detoxing properly. They're having too much inflammation. The best way to detox safely, naturally, without harm, is to do juicing. How do you juice? I get asked all the time, what's the best juice? I know that celery juice is having a very, very, very popular moment right now. The truth is, moms and dads, that there is no specific type of juice ingredient that's going to make or break anything. Okay, I love celery juice because it's easy to make. It makes me feel great. It's really great for skin in general. It's very hydrating and has all the minerals that you need. You can get high quality organic celery. The goal is not to try to find ingredients that are not, and this is where soul food comes in, ingredients that you're using for your child, whether they're in the juice or in the smoothie or in their daily diet. It has to be something that is local if possible. So I'm in the Northeast right now. It's New York. We're not growing much. It's not harvest season, but as much as possible, try to have it local. Sustainable is very helpful. Excuse me, and organic. You want foods that are local because they're picked when they're most ripe, and they're not picked when they're not ripe. And so that's why they have, when they're far away, if it's like great avocados from Mexico, bananas from somewhere else, they have to be picked when they're not ripe to be transported to where you are, to be sitting inside a supermarket on a shelf for a very long time. And what happens is they really don't have a lot of nutrient value when they're picked when they're not ripe and then transported to where you are. So eating local foods from your local farms is the best way to go. I subscribe to a CSA box where they basically, I don't know what they're going to send me in the box. It's whatever is being grown at the moment. And this is really how the healthiest way to do it. Of course, that's not available to all of us all the time. There are actually boxes that I think are pretty good in general, like Misfits boxes. It allows you to have fresh produce. Usually it's local. In New York, I get CSA box from Fresh Direct, which sends me a box from Lancaster Farms and Hawthorne Valley Farms, basically local farms. And every week it's something different because that's how things grow. Every week there's a different weather pattern. And so this is when you harvest a different vegetable or fruit or herb or green. Back to juicing. I do not want you under any circumstances at all to go to the supermarket and buy a juice. Please don't do that. Every single juice that's sold in a supermarket or in a market, or not direct from the company to consumer, something that goes on a shelf, has to be pasteurized. Pasteurized either by heat, which is not so popular anymore, or pressure. When you pasteurize these juices, you kill all the bacteria. Great, but it's not great because you kill all the nutrients. So you're wasting your money completely. So even if it's an organic juice, even if it's a really great brand, if it looks great, it's garbage. Don't buy it, don't use it. How you're going to do this is you're going to make a juice yourself, or you're going to get it from a local juice shop. Just make sure that it's raw, that it's not filtered, that they're not adding water, that it's high quality, because it's not pasteurized. You want to make sure that the company uses the best practice guidelines to make it safe, so that no bacteria grows on because it's a fresh food. Or you can make it yourself. If you have a juicer at home, great. If you don't have one, please get a mastication juicer, not a centrifugal juicer. Centrifugal juicers are the ones that are super loud and they speed up. They have this very strong motor and they're really loud and they heat up the kind of vegetable or fruit that you're juicing, or the herb or the green. So that heat actually kills a lot of the nutrients. So you're losing a lot of value in nutrient value. Or even better is getting a mastication juicers. That's the slow juicer that doesn't heat up. It's a bit slower. You get a lot more of the juice, and you get the most nutrient value. The best time to juice is actually first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, as your first food. Actually, first thing in the morning, I would also encourage all kids who are like over 1 or even parents, the whole family could do it first thing in the morning when your child wakes up, to stimulate the body's ability to digest everything, to open up Luna, my dog, to open up all the blood vessels in the digestive system, and to create an environment in your child's stomach that is really most conducive for all the digestive enzymes to work their best. You're going to have your child drink warm water and a little bit of apple cider vinegar in that water, or lemon juice. It doesn't have to burn. It doesn't have to be strong. It doesn't have to be weird, taste weird. A little bit goes a long way. It's the perfect acidity to help stimulate the natural digestive enzymes in your child's stomach to work, to do their best. So we're going to approach it by giving our kids all the building blocks that they need for their body to work properly, to digest things properly, so that when next week and the week after that, we could really restore their gut lining, so that the foods that they're eating, all the building blocks that they need to heal, are getting absorbed. After they drink warm water with a little bit of apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, have them drink some juice. How much juice? It could be a cup, it could be half a cup. If you have a baby and they haven't yet started on that specific food, try it because juice is very concentrated. Give it to them first to eat, make sure that they're not allergic or reacting, and then you can make a juice out of it. Now, what kind of juice? Make sure you get organic produce, make sure it's local if possible. Organic, local, sustainable would be great. Local farms are great, but it really doesn't matter as long as it's more than 50% less tasty, meaning fruit should be less than half of the ingredients in your juice. Fruit like apple or pear, they're all great, but less than half of it should be fruit by weight or by volume. Just, it doesn't have to be specific. It's a general rule of thumb. But more importantly, it's the greens and the veggies and the herbs that you're going to be putting in there. You want to maximize that. Now, for kids who are super picky and don't want to drink the juice, you can dilute it. You can put a little bit in water. You could put a lot of water in it. You can acclimate your child's palate to get used to these tastes. Most kids do get used to it. A great hack is to start off with like 50% tasty, like lots of apple, and maybe just like, I don't know, celery, because it's pretty mild, and then add maybe carrot. Carrot is a favorite of a lot of kids. I have a lot of recipes that are very healing inside the digital program, where you can get great ideas and what they do and what kind of part of the body they will help. So juicing, or if your child is not into juicing, you just don't have the time to make juice, you didn't buy it, smoothies. Okay, I love smoothies because you can throw a lot of things into them. They're going to come in handy when we're going to be implementing a lot of the next few steps, especially when we start working with ferments. So That's week 2 is juicing and smoothies. The next part would be repairing the gut lining. Now, you want to make sure that your child's body is ready for digestion by drinking warm water and apple cider vinegar or lemon juice, a little bit of like a squeeze of lemon. And then we're going to start using stocks and broths. Stocks meaning chicken stocks or beef stocks or fish stocks. Stocks are boiled for a few hours. Bone broths are boiled for like 12, 15, even 20 hours. The ingredients that you put in stocks and broths do matter tremendously. You want the highest quality pasture raised animals that you could possibly find that are fed with organic grains. Okay. You can make it yourself or you can buy it, but the only place that I recommend buying from, to be honest, is called Brodo, Brodo, unless you find like a local source and they do bone broths without any preservatives. Don't go to the supermarket and buy a carton. Don't try to buy anything from a company that uses pressure cookers. In fact, I don't recommend using pressure cookers when you make stocks and bone broths. The easiest place to start would be with chicken stocks. You could even do this with babies, just whatever is for babies. Don't use a lot of salt, okay? Now stocks and broths are great, but it's how much stocks and broths, that's what matters. It has to be every day. Optimally, your child will maybe midday want a snack, and instead of having a snack, first offer them a little bit of a sip of warm stocks or broths. It could be bone broths, it could be stocks, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which animal it comes from. Variety is great because they all offer different building blocks that are giving collagens. They're offering all the glutamines that really repair the gut lining. This is the fastest way to succeed, is to have your child drink stocks and broths midday on an empty stomach daily. How much? It really doesn't matter as long as it's daily. Our kids are all different ages. For someone that's like over 5 years old and above, at least a cup. For someone that's younger, it could be a quarter cup. It doesn't really matter. Now, if your child hates it, try making it differently. Try giving it to them when they're hungry. Try giving it to them when they're thirsty. That way they'll be more open to drinking it. Try warming it up, or you can make soup from it. You can use it when you're making quinoa or rice because it will all absorb. So those are some tricks that work for families whose kids are so not into them, but still you're getting all the benefits. Now, for those of you who have kids that are like really not into it, or you're just not finding the time to do it daily, I don't recommend a lot of supplements in this program. I would say that adding a glutamine powder for kids who are over age 5 and of course ask your doctors before adding any supplements to your child's regimen. But glutamine does help restore the gut lining, and it's not as powerful as stocks and broths are when they're prepared properly. And I have all the recipes inside the program if you want to take a look. But glutamine might help, and so there's a brand called Clear Labs L-glutamine powder that you could just take a scoop, throw it into the smoothie, and that will be very, very healing for their gut. If you really want to maximize success in this program, you could also buy L-glutamine from Clear Labs and add it to the regimen, so have it in their smoothie. I think smoothies are great because it helps the fiber. Juicing does not have any of the fiber, so it serves a different purpose. Okay, detox, it serves for nutrient replacement. It's a lot easier to get all the nutrients through juicing, but when we're talking about pooping and gut health, we still need to make sure that our kids are having fruits and vegetables. And so for those kids who are picky, add it into a smoothie. Using healthy fats is really important. Try to avoid seed oils and stick with things like coconut oil, stick with things like really high quality organic olive oil, stick to things like ghee, Ghee. If you are a vegan family, or just not into having meat stocks every day or meat broths every day, there are also vegan options for very healing bone broths that are listed inside the digital program that really are very anti-inflammatory on contact. They make up they use mushrooms. They're going to also help your child's gut lining heal. We need to heal the gut lining because we need to reverse the leaky gut. We need to make sure that the gut lining is nice and healthy with tight junctions and nothing is leaking into our kid's system that shouldn't be there, continually giving your child inflammation. Finally, in week 4, you're going to start ferments. And this is a little tricky because some kids inside this program do have a histamine overload, and ferments, although they are the most potent, healthy, beneficial form of probiotics that you could possibly find, kids who have a histamine overload tend to react poorly to them because ferments have a lot of histamine. So for those of your kids who you're not suspecting have a histamine overload, or you know they don't have a histamine overload, or you just starting this program, I don't recommend removing the histamine-rich foods right away. We'll talk more about that in a second. But for those just, starting off on this journey, and your child, no one mentioned histamine. There's not a lot of seasonal allergies, for example. That's a symptom of histamine overload. And they're not having reactions to histamine-rich foods in general that you might notice. You need to do ferments. Ferments are usually, it could be any fruit, it could be any vegetable. Ferments are things like sauerkraut, beet kvass, fermented carrots. Any fruit or vegetable can be fermented, but some really popular ones are things like sauerkraut, which is fermented cabbage, kimchi. Kids love fermented carrots because they're finger foods, they're usually sticks. You can add beet kvass, which is fermented beet, inside of smoothies because it's super sweet and bright pink. Your child has to have ferments every day. If you can't do ferments every day, high quality probiotic. The probiotics are not going to fix any problem. It's going to be a nice bridge for some kids, but very rarely does any supplement fix the whole problem. So usually if you can work on, the ferment part of it, but if you can't do ferments, a high quality probiotic like Smidge and Smidge Sensitive, for example, is very low histamine, high quality probiotic. Clear, for those of you who have kids who don't have histamine overload. I actually have links inside the program for where you can purchase these. Make sure that the probiotics are sent to you in a cold pack. Make sure that they're fresh. I love Full Script. That's my dispensary. You can use that, get about 20% off everything that's retail just by clicking the links inside the program under each section. So ferments, start slow. It's very powerful. You want to avoid any reaction like diarrhea, vomiting, upset stomach. When you introduce high quality, very potent probiotics that restore the microbiome inside your child's body very quickly, the bad guys, the pathogenic bacteria, fungi, yeasts, viruses, the ones that shouldn't be there, start to die. And if you do it too quickly, that die-off reaction is it's not dangerous, but it's just not very comfortable at all. And so you want to start with a few teaspoons a day, and you work your way up to about a quarter cup a day. It could be the liquid part of a ferment, it could be the solid part. You could hide it in food. It doesn't matter what time of day you do it, but you do need to do it daily. Just start off slowly. For kids who are under 12 months, I actually don't recommend doing ferments, but rather stick to a high quality probiotic like Smidge Sensitive, for example. And then you're going to do that for about a week. And then you're going to see, is your child better? And you have an option, you have choice to make. If your child is so much better, you're going to take the self-sign assessment. You're going again at 30 days, and you're going to see, is my child actually better overall? Is it just skin, or other things better too? Is my child sleeping better, pooping better, living better, happier? Are they not wheezing as much? Are they not having as many allergy symptoms? On and on. It looks at the whole body. Maybe take some photos again, and then you decide, do you want to reintroduce foods that you took away? Of course, sugar should be in moderation always, but you can reintroduce gluten and dairy in a very methodological step-by-step protocol that I outlined. And the reason we do this is because we see, was the gluten a problem? Was the dairy a problem? If it was the problem, you might want to do a little bit more of the gut healing again, and then maybe another few weeks, maybe a month, and then try again. The more gut healing happens, the less sensitivities, allergies, and eczema your child will have. If your child is not better after about 30 days of doing this program, really doing this program in the way that I just outlined, you might have a child who is histamine overloaded, and the symptom of that histamine overload is eczema. In that case, you're going to go to the section where it says my child is not better, histamine overload, and you're going to remove or minimize all the things on that list that have a lot of histamine for about a week or two, and then you're going to see, did it help? There are also supplements that you might want to use that have quercetin and bromelain and vitamin C that also calm the histamine effect in the body, that is listed on there for you to consider using. So this program is not very heavy on supplements, and I really truly wish that there was some kind of supplement that makes eczema go away forever, but there is no substitution for making these dietary nutritional changes. And you might reintroduce the foods, but in the next 6 months, I want you to consider keeping the juicing going if you can, at least a few times a week, using stocks and broths at least a few times a week, using ferment as much as you can as well, because those are the long-term changes that will help your child heal. Your whole family can do it in these nutritional programs. And if you have a baby and you're breastfeeding, this is what you're going to be doing for yourself. There's also a guide for moms who are breastfeeding and have babies. It's under the module with recipes and meal plans, and it's a guide on which foods to give your little one to make sure that the first foods your little one is having as they get older are the foods that actually heal, and not filler empty calorie foods like rice cereal, for example, that doesn't do any kind of healing for your child. No nutritional value there. If your child is formula fed, you're going to try to introduce the healing healthy foods inside that wholesome baby's guide as quickly as possible to get them on track. And once they turn 1 year old, you can start adding things like ferments every day, 12 months about, in their daily regimen. So that's how this 4 weeks is going to look. I'm also going to be giving this same talk and going over these same details once again on December 13th, and then on December 27th, I'm going to be speaking to you all about itch relief and skin transformation. So if you want to look ahead inside the program, all the information is there, but I will be teaching everything to you live, one main module per month of this protocol over and over again, and also the other modules like the skin healing, how to avoid triggers. We're going to be doing a whole month on cooking. So this program is 6 months, and it will give you all the tools and information that you need to heal from the inside out and outside in. So let's do it this way. I know that there's a lot of you who have questions, and I want to answer all of them. So I'm going to remove my pin. I'm going to open up this view for everyone. If you have a question, let's do it this way. Oh, here we go, gallery. Raise your hand if you have a question, and I'll call you because I know there's a lot of us here. Sometimes we do pop-up style, sometimes it helps. Does everyone here have a raise hand option on their Zoom? And if not, you could just kind of call it out. So here we go. Vamshi, you have a question? I'll just go in order as I see the hands go up. And if you don't have, for some reason, I don't have a hand option, maybe because I'm the host. We'll go person by person until all the questions are answered. So Vamshi, hello, nice to see you again. How are you?
Hi,
How's
I'm
everything
good.
going? It's
Yes,
been a
everything
few
is good.
months, right?
Yes, I have 2 kids and they're doing great. But I have a question like regarding the histamine now that the allergies, like winter's coming and now like the fall is going. So I see a lot of difference between the wheezing. And so can I reintroduce the high histamine foods? Like, because I removed all those like tomatoes, bananas and stuff like that. So I see a lot of improvement because I've removed all those. So good. They're not taking. My daughter used to take Montelukast like every day, the singular medicine. Now she's not taking. So my son is not wheezing. So I see a lot of difference. So now my question is, I know it's been 6 months that they're not on dairy and gluten, but I'm taking it slowly. I do not want to take it very fast. So I'm in a very slow pace. So should I reintroduce the the other vegetables and fruits which I've removed because now they're not doing?
Yeah. So to answer your question, there's no just to kind of recap, right? We did speak about there's no test for histamine. It's super annoying. How in medicine do we have no test for this? If your child has like seasonal allergies and then they get reactions, it's not necessarily eczema, but headache, stomach ache, the
Itchy.
itching, very it's called in medicine, we call it non-specific symptoms, meaning like anything can cause these very vague general symptoms. It could be histamine overload. Okay, so I know that so there's no test for it, it's not measurable, super annoying, right? You took the high histamine foods away, there was significant improvement, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in my opinion, and I don't have, and from what I see all the time, when you start to decrease the inflammation by following, which you did, this 4 weeks, you were really, really great with it. You removed all the stuff I said to, there's just no more chemicals. You gave them all the things that they needed. And then there was improvement, and you've been doing this for a couple of months now. In my opinion, you can reverse histamine overload. Okay. Why? Because you need an enzyme, DAO, to get rid of the histamine in the body. And that's usually a problem with histamine overload. There's too much histamine, not enough DAO enzyme, and that's where you have the symptoms. Everyone has DAO. Some kids genetically have not as much. Some kids genetically have too much histamine overload because they're super triggered by all the things. So, so I'm really, really, really happy to hear that your kids are both better, right? Your
Yeah.
daughter did better first.
Yeah.
And your son was still struggling, right? Or did I
No,
miss
it was the opposite. Like my
opposite? Your
son
son
from the
did better
initial
first. Yeah.
like I can send you the photos. I see, like when I see what his pictures were in the August and now, it's like I feel so much difference. And my daughter, she has light eczema, but it keeps going up and down, so I did not see major difference. But now of late I see a good improvement in her also, so I'm so happy. Like I want to continue the same thing, and that's why I'm not reintroducing dairy and gluten, because I want to take it slowly, because it took a lot of time for me to come here. I just don't want to. I know they keep asking, I want to drink milk. I feel so sorry.
I want to drink milk.
You will soon. So there's a supplement that I added into the protocol, into the histamine section, that is it's basically kidney derivative. Like kidneys have a lot of DAO, so they made a supplement from it. It's by a company called Seeking Health. It's basically giving that supplement to your child will help them manage the histamine overload. It's more like a symptom manager. It's natural, organic. You could also just get yeah, you could try that basically.
Can I get it from Full
Yes.
Script, the one?
Yes, there's a link now, so it's new, so you might have not seen it. If you go reread the histamine section, you will see I put that there. You click on it and you can get it through Full Script. I'm not huge on supplements, but I know that they help sometimes, and I only add them when I like really have a lot of evidence behind it, and I know it's not just some brand. So you can try that. Yes, you could reintroduce it slowly, start with things like bananas, for example, a little bit. Histamine is additive, so the more you add, the over a certain threshold, it's not going to be like a little bit of banana. It's going to be like banana and then other histamine rich foods or histamine releasing foods. And so yes, you could do that, and then maybe next time we speak or in a couple of weeks, we'll be reintroducing dairy and gluten as well. I am so happy to hear that. Please tell everyone again that actually I want to kind of say you showed up every single live that I've had for a few months, like months and months, right?
Yes.
So initially I was worried because I was like, it's taking forever. Your kids are older. It's sometimes harder with older kids. They can go, they know what they want. They have their peers. They go to school and choose what they want to eat very often. It's harder. And then think of how long they've been struggling. It's just a little easier for younger kids in this process. And I was really worried that it wasn't going to work. And I'm so happy to hear that. So I'm just telling you all this because took longer than most families, but you see improvement, and I know you're smiling, so I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I really want to thank you. The reason why is the way you have organized each one. I mean, if we see other courses, what they do, they either give us solutions, but you have been so detail oriented, where to buy, what to buy, like for each section. And for parents who are in anxiety and stress, it's so useful, like a step-by-step process. That's what I really like it. Like I feel, I recommend to everyone. It is slow, but you will feel as on the whole, the health is improving, not only for your kids, but for yourself. You
Oh,
feel
thank
the
you.
difference.
I'm so happy to hear that. And I know there's a lot of new faces here and new families just joined recently. So I hope that serves as a little bit of inspiration. Even if you're not seeing great results initially, it will eventually help in many different ways. Thank you. I really appreciate
Yeah.
your really kind comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next question is Christine. I'm just going down the list. How I see
So
it.
I,
Hi.
I had a question about the sugar because I give my kids xylitol and we do xylitol lollipops for anti-cavity. They don't have any sugar, but they have alcohol sugar in them. So is that something we should avoid as well?
Oh, xylitol for teeth?
Yeah.
I have no comment on it.
Okay.
Can I get back to you? That's a good question.
Yeah. I'll take a picture of the ingredients as
Yeah,
well. Post it
okay,
on-
please, because I want to say no, but I don't know enough about dental health, to be honest.
Okay.
Like to
And,
prevent cavities, I don't have enough, I really don't have enough, I can't make up my mind, I don't have enough data, evidence, like it's so difficult for me, so dentistry is not my forte. So I'm gonna, if you want to post it, that would be great. But I also think like in moderation, a little bit is not a big deal. They're not like having a whole pie of xylitol, so it's kind of not, probably not a big, it's not gonna ruin the whole program. Don't stress too much about it.
And just one more question, because I looked a little bit on the program. I didn't look in the menu or the meals too much, but I was just curious because I seen a lot for breakfast was eggs, and my daughter has a dairy allergy. Is there any other breakfast options on there?
Oh yeah, take a look. So for everyone, there's a module for all with all the recipes. It's like cooking to reverse eczema, and there's sample meal menus, meal plans. And so you'll see a lot of the things there, like I mean, I'm a big fan of, oh, everyone has different allergies, by the way. So it's impossible to make a menu with everyone's allergens, but I'm a big fan of things like making like oats, using oats, because I'll make like an oat bake and I'll put in there hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds that are ground for all that fiber, and maybe make my own hemp milk because it takes 5 seconds and it's extremely nutritious. Putting frozen fruit on there, sweet, and then throwing it into with mixing it all up with oats, organic oats, putting it in the oven, and then you have this bake, like it's literally bars, and you could sweeten it with honey on top, and I like it as breakfast because it's, you could make it like once, it stays good for a long time, and it's like easy to like grab and go, and it's sweet, so kids like it. It's very nutrient packed. Berries, by the way, is amazing, but it's really hard to find them high quality right now. Locally, you can't really, they're not growing anywhere. So frozen berries, frozen fruit is a very good thing because it's usually picked when it's ripe. Just make sure it's organic. So that's like one idea. Another idea that I'm loving is to use quinoa for breakfast bowls. So I know like eggs are like the American favorite breakfast. I have chickens, and if I look at another egg, I will lose my mind. So, because I have nothing but eggs every day. I can't stand it anymore. So there's a lot of foods that we don't consider because we're like, this is not a breakfast food, it's a lunch food. Like quinoa, which you can make into basically a sweet, it doesn't have to be savory. You could add honey, you could add nuts. If your child is not allergic, seeds, hemp seeds are great, chia seeds, flax seeds, throw that on everything. You could put fruit on there, sweeten it with honey, and then you have this very filling breakfast bowl. You could put coconut yogurt on top that's plain, and it's like I love bowls, so you'll see a lot of bowl recipes. So check out all the other recipes ideas there too.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great. Okay, so let me remove this pin. I'm just Katie. I think Katie's next. Hi, Katie. You're muted still though.
Unmute. Okay. Can you hear me
Hi.
now?
Yes.
Okay. I have two questions. How important is it to switch our clothing over? Like, because that's a big investment.
Great question. So there's how important it is to switch clothing. Not that important. Actually, I wouldn't throw anything away, to be honest. So if your child is having, I know some of the kids here have really bad sensitivities to certain fabrics, and mostly because they're too rough or they're not breathable enough, or I mean, very few are very, very sensitive to like things that are not organic cotton. Very few. Most kids are going to be just fine as long as the fabric is soft. Polyester is not great, but you know, kids are growing, so fabric does matter in some cases. I wouldn't like go switch the whole wardrobe to organic cotton or bamboo, the two fabrics that I love most. If you have an option, another great option is to do, because it's kind of it's winter on the way. So if your kids are wearing undershirts, if they're wearing gloves, you can put liners, like, you know, the t-shirt underneath a shirt, a sweater that's not going to touch a long sleeve shirt. Maybe get a few of those base layers that actually touch the skin, because if it's not touching the skin, it doesn't really matter. So really, this program is, I have my recommendations. I could sit here and go, all these detergents are bad, and all of these cleaning products are bad, and you go on an environmental working group and you see that it's not great. And the shampoo, I don't want you to throw anything away. It just, this is a long game, really. So in the scheme of things, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. It's rare to see a significant improvement when you switch fabrics. More important maybe to the kinds of detergents, avoid softeners. The detergents is probably going to make greater impact.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we're in Texas and we normally wear shorts.
Oh yeah, not
We're
everyone is in a
not on the
frozen country.
limbs, and
Yeah.
my limbs are the ones that are the most affected by eczema. So I've not ever switched, but and then my second question is, we have a however you say that, centrifugal juicer and not the masticating one. Is it something we should switch or just
No.
use what we
Use what you have. Do not switch.
Okay. And I have like a million other questions, but that's all I'm going to ask for now.
Okay, if you have a million other questions and you don't want to ask right now, you could always ask it in the group.
Yeah.
All of them.
that's what I'm doing.
And sometimes I'll actually do a video because I can't like type forever. So you might get an audio or video response as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Jade. Hi, Jade. Do you have a question?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello. I actually have a question about I'm gonna have to pull it up. What are you calling it? The vaccine detox plan?
Oh, yeah.
So this is about the probiotic for the baby. It says to use for 1 month
Mhm.
after the vaccine. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. And you know, at this age, she's 12 months. We have the vaccines pretty much back to back. Is it okay to use it longer, or should I stick to the 1 month and then, you know, give her a couple weeks off and yeah, or just
So-
keep going?
You can, oh, that's a good point. She's little, so she keeps getting vaccinated. You
Yeah,
can
and we're
use-
doing the slow one. So we're actually split, like her 12-month vaccine, we're splitting that up into 2 sessions, and the next one's gonna be split up. So it's gonna be drag on for a while.
Okay, yeah. So always ask your pediatrician when you like start anything, even homeopathic stuff. I think it's worth just mentioning to your kid's doctor, like, I'm going to be doing these homeopathic remedies, they're safe. And for things like probiotics, like the one that I recommended, Claire, or you can use, if you're, that's the one that's on there. You could continue to use it. I wrote 1 month, meaning like you don't have to use a probiotic forever. And that's the point. Like, in fact, more probably you want to, instead of the probiotic, focus now that your kid is 12 months on starting to add ferments. They're much more powerful. They work
Totally.
better.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like as opposed to the the probiotics?
You could do both.
Just do both, it's okay?
Yes.
And how about is it too much for like if I'm taking probiotics already and eat a lot of fermented foods already too, should I add to that or
It's
I don't know if it's overloading for them?
my rule of thumb with probiotics rich foods is that it's never too much. I mean, in
Okay.
moderation,
Okay.
like if you're, I mean, what is too much is if you go from 0 to 100 quickly, that's too much. But if you're like slowly, this is the ecosystem inside your body. So if you're just, if you have a lot of new microbes, then you might have like, it might be too much. But if your body is used to having all these amazing, beneficial, healthy bacteria, viruses, yeasts that are healthy and helping you, there's never too much, I think. You're never going to see a problem from that. Most traditional cultures around the world use ferments every day in their cooking. I don't know what happened in the past 100 years in the US. Completely, it's coming back though. So if you go to like a health food store, there's going to be a whole section with high quality ferments that you could buy. Just make sure they're wild fermented, raw, unpasteurized, no other ingredients, not pickles.
Right. Not pickles. Good point.
Pickles are not
Okay.
ferments. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then did have one other question. Are you able to just dive a little, either now or later, I don't mind, no rush, like dive a little deep on how does the baby's gut work? Because so it's open at this age and
There is,
things are
yes.
easily leaked through, or how does that
I saw
work?
the thread, and then there was somebody commenting that had written something that I didn't even know about, and I don't necessarily like agree with, but I think it's sounds appropriate. What we do know is
Yeah.
that most of the microbiome in babies, some babies are born with a few microbes in their whole system. In the past, we used to think it was completely like nothing was in the system, but a lot of the microbiome is inherited from mom through delivery when they take a big gulp through the vaginal canal. So yeah, if it's a C-section, they don't get that big gulp. So what happens is the bacteria that live on like skin, for example, on everyone's skin, on different parts of the body, they end up in populating the gut. If there was a antibiotic use, if mom's gut health was not optimal, and I think you wrote that you did a lot of work on your gut.
I
So
did for
yeah,
me, yeah.
so I applaud you. We don't really know exactly. You're never going to find a real answer, to be honest, of what happened, why. But there are risk factors. We know that kids who are born by a C-section have a higher chance of developing eczema, and this is because the microbiome is not the kinds of microbes that should be in the gut lining. Breastfeeding helps establish the right kinds of microbes. So I could actually send to you a few links, and I actually did a video. I can
Okay.
send it to you all about that. It's like a deep dive into this topic. But don't get too caught up on the leaky part, because I think this is not
Okay.
well, it doesn't even, you're not gonna, there's not enough data to be like, this is it, this is the answer. I don't want to get too hung up on that.
Okay.
So yeah,
No,
we
that
don't
makes
even
sense.
really know, but we do know that restoring the microbiome helps reverse eczema by healing the gut and restoring a healthy, beneficial microbiome. It's not just the gut, it's affecting the skin's microbiome. So this is where
Right,
we start.
exactly. We have a skin and vomiting issue. So was told that all can potentially be connected, I hope.
Yes, I do truly
So,
believe that there is a very strong connection. You also want to make sure that you've ruled out anything else with your pediatrician. Like make sure that there's nothing organic, some kind of process that needs to be addressed. And if everything was ruled out and everything is fine and there's no like organic cause for this, yes, working on gut health really does help the skin and vomiting issue. It's the first place to start. End of
totally.
December, we'll be talking about skin microbiome, but the first place to start is gut microbiome, because
Oh,
that's where immune,
that's cool.
yeah, and so we'll be working inside out and outside in as well on restoring the microbiome.
Okay.
First place to start is in gut health, first place.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Just one more comment. One
Yes.
more comment. I just well, to respond to your question about seeing, figuring it out with her doctors, we did see a bunch of specialists. They basically final conclusion was she just has food allergies to all the things. So I said, okay, fine. But what I thought was interesting, and I know none of the doctors liked any of the lab tests that were done because, treat the patient first, not the numbers, right?
Yeah.
But the numbers were high. The highest allergies that she had were foods that I ate the most.
Mhm.
So I was freaking out about that I know you told us not to blame ourselves, but I was like, oh, so all the healthy foods that I eat, which was the egg, the fish, and what was the other one? I already forgot. But egg and fish were the highest. Oh, nuts. Egg, fish, and nuts were the highest that she was allergic to. And that's what I eat all the time because that's, I've cut out pretty much everything else. But I just thought that was interesting. So I was like, I don't know if something in my breast milk is getting to her and that's causing her allergy
So
or what.
so you do need to follow the recommendation from your allergist. Like if they say don't give something or give something, you have to follow that because everyone's
Totally.
allergy profile is different. And when you can't say my kid has there's like 19 different kinds of allergies. So they know specifically what they're working with for your child. So if they say let's do a food reintroduction, then do that. Also for someone who is under 2 years old, when these blood tests are not really very helpful. Because if you take it again now, it's going to look completely different. And yeah, so it's like kind of a guide, but it's not everything. And what you're doing by doing stocks and broths and restoring the microbiome and giving her all the nutrients is these allergies, they will go away. They go away with time. They start to subside if the body is not constantly exposed to the triggers. So they're going to subside and new ones won't be formed.
Okay. That was good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Who's next? No, Noemi, do you have a question? I think you were raising your hand. Hi.
Hi. Yes, well, I think we all have a lot of questions, but one of them is kind of going back to the whole food allergy. So I noticed he started at 6 months with his eczema, and maybe every 2 months taking him to his regular doctor. Up to now, they say it's a normal thing. They don't prescribe anything nor take him, nor approve like taking him to an allergist doctor or dermatologist. And so I went on my own. I did I know there is I think it's called Everly Well.
Yes.
I know it's for adults, but I did it on the kid. He's 2.5. He's gonna be 3 next month. And it didn't tell me he was allergic to things. He was just sensitive to certain foods. And kind of going to the other mom, it was kind of all the food that I gave him. I only breastfed. And those were all the foods that I ate while I was breastfeeding, which was apples, coconut, oats, healthy stuff. And those are all the stuff he's sensitive to. Now, I don't know if I should, I know in a lot of the recipes you give us, or the juicing recipes, they have apples, they have celery. He's sensitive to all of that, even oats. So he has a large list of things, but because he's not allergic, he's sensitive. Should I still give it to him, or should I just avoid all of that?
Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of doing these direct to consumer tests. Like, the reason why I'm not a huge fan of doing those tests is because they end up not translating to real actual allergies or sensitivities. And then you have a child that's growing, already has so many restrictions, and you eliminate something because you think that it's causing them a problem, but it's really not based, it's not really sound information.
Okay.
So like, I would take that information with a grain of salt and maybe go to an allergist before you remove something completely. That might be very helpful to them.
Okay.
Now, if you if you give it to them and you see like huge eczema flare, obviously you could jot that down and note that. But just looking at numbers, this is where kind of there's a lot of technology out there. Okay, there are a lot of tests. There are a lot of functional tests. There are a lot of direct to people tests. So many. I've tried so many, and every time I go back and like I've tried them myself, and every time I go back there, a half a year later to look at my recommendations, it changes because there's more and more data that's being collected, and then they're like, well, we have to change our protocols. It's not sound information yet, so that's why I don't recommend doing these kinds of tests. But if you're concerned about allergies, I would take them to an allergist. They could do real testing that's appropriate for them,
Okay.
and they will determine what kind of allergy it is and if you should really avoid it, or is it because avoiding something is you avoid it if it's anaphylactic, you avoid it if it's causing a lot of a lot of eczema. But if you just have a test that says my kid is allergic to this, I don't love that at all.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Perfect.
I
Okay.
hope that
Thank you.
helps.
Yes.
Let's see, Browns. Hi. Let me.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi. How are you?
I actually had the same question as like the other moms with the IgA testing. It was very frustrating. So I got like 5 different results for my 3-year-old to remove. So we removed that during the 30-day eczema plan.
Yeah.
Is that the plan? And then reintroduce it because we've had it out of her diet for the last 6 months. All of those things.
Was the testing done with an allergist or a
It
pediatrician?
was a naturopath, and she didn't really
Okay.
have a plan to like reintroduce it. She said like, don't eat these things, like dairy,
How
gluten.
old is your child?
She's 3, a little over 3.
I mean, if you didn't see great results and it's not an anaphylactic life-threatening emergency, like if your allergist goes, your child is severely allergic to XYZ, you cannot have this at all because they couldn't let them in the hospital. So we're not talking about those kind of allergies, right? So I would recommend following the recommendations of your naturopath because I know what they did. There's different tests, they do different things, the severity of allergies, but also a 3-year-old, the allergy profile changes a lot. So so I would say in general, if you're not, did you see good results in 30 days or no?
I did, but I don't know about like peanut and gluten. Like I don't know if there was good results, but I wasn't sure what it was from.
Could be
So I think
either. It could have been either. So if that's the case, then try reintroducing things little by little. Like give it to a little bit and then wait a couple of days. That's one way to do it. Give a little, wait a couple of days, and because symptoms of allergies can manifest a couple of days later. So don't introduce everything all at once.
like after the plan, start to reintroduce it.
Yeah, as long as your doctors are okay with it.
Yeah. Okay. And then second question was, I saw that for like the reintroduction for dairy, it was like, I think goat, sheep.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
So
because it's easier to digest.
If sheep milk isn't available, like, is it okay to
Skip
go?
it. Just go to goat. Nothing here is like set in stone, everyone. It's kind of like a template. So if you can't find something, you can switch it out. There's not one path to success. In general, it's nice to do sheep, it's nice to do goat because they're easier to digest. The body is able to process them better, but it's really not set in stone. And you see a lot of different providers have their own way of doing it, which is similar, but not exactly the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like a little bit of art, a little bit of science. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, let's see. Who else has their hand up? Denise and York, hi.
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 I just want to, hold on, let me pin you. I'm trying to figure it out. I always get lost inside of Zoom somehow. Oh, there we go. Hello, hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
First meeting. Nice to meet you.
Me too.
So we have a few questions. The first one is about stocks and broths. Is it also okay to use bones and meat from deer or other game?
Yeah, I think so. Okay, to be honest, I don't really know, actually. Can I get back to you?
Sure.
Specifically talking about venison?
Hmm.
Okay, I think so, but I'd like to get back to you.
Okay.
Because and the reason why is because I want to make sure that there was a questionable vitamin A overload issue with venison. And I wasn't sure if it's the bones or not. It's a
Mhm.
rare question. It's usually not. Yeah, let me get back to you. I want to make sure that that's not. Are you like getting it yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I love venison also, but I need to check to make sure that the bones are something you could make a stock from.
Okay, great.
Okay.
We read something that pork, you should avoid it. Can we have pork meat or
Yes,
also
you
use the
can have
bone?
pork. Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's great. And so our 9-month-old son is affected here, and we are a bit struggling with his diet. Is there a special meat plan for under 1-year-old kids?
Yes,
'Cause
there
he's-
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a very specific meal plan for each age. So if you go to the online program, there's going to be the section with cooking to reverse eczema. And then there's, if you open that, you see on the bottom, wholesome food choices for wholesome babies. It's like a whole guide on which foods are amazing for babies for healing. So there you'll see stocks, you'll see liver is very important because you need the iron now more than ever. So using liver from like chicken or beef, and the recipe for that is in there too. How to introduce things, it's all written out in this guide. So please access it. I think that this is the perfect time to start looking at this kind of information.
Okay. Yeah, we have already some good progress. So we started a program about 12 days ago. But there's only one area on his arm which is affected really bad, and it seems to spread more. And all the specialists that we have seen so far, they just told us everything you did so far in the past it doesn't help, and use some steroid cream or cortisone cream, and we are not very happy about that. But in case of a very bad area, we are thinking about
Yeah,
using cortisone cream.
so these are like steroid creams are life-saving medicines. They prevent skin from breaking. They work really well. There's nothing wrong with using these products, especially when you need to use them. Like you cannot have your child completely suffering and you know there's a solution. But if you're relying on these things long term for weeks and months and years, then this is the program for you. So it's not to replace using the recommended prescribed modalities in modern medicine. They work really well. So don't feel bad about using them. I don't feel bad about using them for my child or in the past, or prescribing them to my patients that I care. You know, I mean, sometimes you need to use them. It's not throwing in the towel and saying I failed at all. Sometimes you need to use it. So
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And just to reconfirm, so we like ferments a lot, but for 9 months old, better to wait till he's 1.
better wait and start a high quality probiotic like Smidge or Claire.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually leaning more towards Smidge sensitive now, more and more based on like the results I'm seeing. So yeah, so just make sure you get it from a really good source.
Yeah, we have a high quality product from Germany.
Oh, okay,
Yes, it works pretty good.
good. Oh, and if you want to test to see if your probiotic is really great, you could do a little test. It's called the milk test, and it doesn't work great with capsules, like with tablets rather. It works really well with powders. So what you do is you take a cup of milk, you put it on the counter, like 1 serving cup of milk, and then you throw a serving of the probiotic in the cup, and you leave it on the counter and you move it away. And if it turns into kefir or yogurt in like 2 days, it means it's alive. And if nothing happens, then you're wasting your money.
Okay, good to
Thank
know.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate this program and also the nice community.
Thank you. I really appreciate you both for being here, and I'm so happy to hear this such fast, great progress. So you're definitely on the right track.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome. Awesome, Nuvia. Hi. Do you have a question? Nuvia, are you there?
Yes, sorry, coming.
Hi. Okay. I can
Oh,
take.
here I am.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hello.
I don't even know how to start, but I'll start with the first one. On the stocks and broths, I found one that's called Bonafide.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I guess I want to know if there's like an item I should look out for that might be something I shouldn't have, even if it's like organic and non-GMO and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So Bonafide uses pressure cookers. So it's not like my favorite because it uses pressure cookers, which denatures a lot of the proteins that are healing.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like good, but there's better.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, so that's the thing. Like these things are expensive. If you want to make the best choice, the one that I like the most is make it yourself or Brodo,
Right.
because it tastes good. So kids usually like it. It's like pretty good tasting in
Mhm.
general. I mean, bone broths have a very specific taste, and it's not so delicious sometimes, you know. They use high quality products and they do not use pressure cookers. So that's what you're looking for.
Okay,
They're
that's good.
about the same price, you know.
A pressure cooker one. So that's good to know. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But that's what I was wondering. Okay, so I will look into that other one. I have before, but I know you have to order it and you have to wait for it to come in. And so
Use what you have, or just make a stock. Plain old.
yeah, that's what I can. Like I will try to do the chicken one myself, and I have good success doing that. But I know that you said the broth is better than the stock, right?
Both are good, and both are great, and they both do different things. And stocks are easy. So the benefits of stocks, and I go into this in the program a lot. All right, so maybe like eat it before you cook, because I offer suggestions on how to really maximize nutrient value when you're making a stock. So both are great. They have different components. Bone broths are great. Stocks are great. Stocks are easier to digest and they have less histamine. Bone broth, and they taste better usually for like little kids. They're more open to drinking it. Bone broths have a little bit of a harder for kids to accept taste. They have more histamine and they harder to make because it takes forever to cook.
Okay. So now that you brought up the histamine, that reminds me of another question. So, so with Yasudi, we went through the whole, takeaway stuff, and she did have a terrible, breaking out situation, and we couldn't get it under control, blah, blah, blah. And so just for the other parents, so we ended up putting her back on a steroid. And so she did do that Erin one, which has the steroid, antibiotic, and ointment, right?
Right.
So was doing, and then she also had to do an oral one and antibiotics. So we're off of that now. So now my goal is to go back kind of to, I don't know, maybe square two, not one, because we're still have eliminated everything out. But now I want to rebuild again. But I know you talked about the broths and the ferments maybe being high histamine. How do I know? Because right now she's not breaking out because she's still using the cream. Like, how do I know what to look out for or what causes what? Or do I just go back to doing the juicing and maybe just stocks? Or like, I guess I don't know what step to go back to start over to rebuild.
Okay, start with juicing.
Okay.
And then take time there. Then do stocks. Don't do bone broths. And then do like a probiotic, which is a really good one that doesn't have histamine. And then see what happens. And then try to give a ferment and see what happens. Like,
so when I give the ferment, like what do I like? Is it going to be like an upset stomach situation? Like, I guess because I
yeah.
her all
When
daily
you're
much.
So give a little bit of the ferment, so it's not causing like a stomach situation. But what you're gonna see is there itching? Is there rash? Is there redness? Is there a runny nose, itchy eyes? It could be a cough, it could be a headache, it could be poor sleep, it could be even it's usually not stomach, if it's histamine, could be, but yeah, so basically you're just gonna kind of isolate, give that alone and watch for a reaction.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. I think that's it.
helps. Great. Awesome.
Thank-
You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope that helps. Who has questions? Anyone else? Do you want to just oh, okay. There's questions in the chat box, so let's see. Sharma asked, do you have a coupon for a juicer? I do not. I'm sorry. Another questions is link for the juicer to purchase. Danya asked, do you have a link for the, so I like Huram juicers or Omega. I wrote that down. I don't have a coupon. I think it's still Cyber Monday deals going on. Kimberly, hi, do you have a question? Do you want to ask it in the chat box, or even better, like ask it through the...
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi, sorry, I came in late because
It's okay.
I work during this time, so I'm not sure if my question was already asked or anything. I'm
okay.
fairly new to the group, so I'm just trying to figure everything out. I just signed up for your 30-day program. My 6-month-old, he does have eczema, so I'm starting pretty early trying to get him together as far as like more comfortable, but he is breastfed and bottle fed with the breast milk. I have cut out the gluten, dairy, and the eggs. And he did do a skin tag test with the allergenist, and they said that gluten wasn't something he was sensitive to, but the dairy and eggs came back. I do believe, just some observation, he is allergic to nuts as well, and tomatoes has been a trigger. So my question is, obviously my gut health probably needs to be in line for him to be okay. And how can I really benefit from the program since he's just now starting to eat purees? I kind of waited till he was 6 months because he's been so sensitive. And I really don't know what much I can do because he's so young. And I know some other parents have older kids and they can do the bone broth, but what can I do to help
Yeah.
him with his severe eczema?
Did you mention that he's did you mention he's breastfed?
Yes, he
Okay.
is.
Sorry, my dog
Mhm.
I was trying to distract my dog from chewing on the squeak toy so it doesn't distract everyone. So sorry. Okay, so there's a lot you can do, and in fact, 6
Okay.
months is a really good age to start this process.
Mhm.
No reason to wait. What you're going to do is the foods that are going to be first foods for your child are going to
Mhm.
be the ones that are healing. So that would be like, I have a whole guide for you inside the digital program under,
Mhm.
yeah, and the place to find this guide is actually under cooking to heal eczema module, and then you'll see
Okay.
the guide under wholesome food choices for wholesome babies. So I want you to
Mhm.
take a look at that because it goes month by month of what foods are actually healing to the gut. Soon he'll be able to drink things like stocks, just don't add water. Basically just
Mhm.
boiled chicken, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only a few you know, it's right around the corner where he could start having these things. So the kinds
Mhm.
of foods that you'll be using are the ones that are really healing and not just filler foods that are usually
Okay.
recommended by pediatricians in the US for
Mhm.
like pureed canned foods that are really devoid of a lot, like the pureed or pouches. They might be organic, but they're not
Mhm.
fresh, they're not live. They have citric acid or ascorbic acid, which is actually a preservative. So you kind of try to, you want to avoid these things. You want to like optimize
Yes.
nutrition.
I
So
did give him pears and I noticed he kind of reacted to it, and I didn't know that they were on the acidic spectrum, like compared to like lemon and limes. And so
It's
I
not the
kind of just
acidity.
paused.
It's not
Mhm.
the acidity that's the problem, and it's not uncommon for babies to have reactions to foods. So you know, you try it and then you come back to it in a couple of weeks and see if there's
Mhm.
still a reaction.
Okay. Sorry, you
Yeah.
okay, so I'll look at the food. You said there's a cooking to heal.
Module.
I'll look for that module. And as far as myself, like, should I just continue my diet? Because obviously the allergenist is like, no, you need to eat everything. Like, but I notice when I do that, he flares up. Now
Yeah.
he's going into like the stage of recovery because I cut it right back out and his skin is like starting to shed. It's like a snake skin almost. Like he's flared for days and now it's like shedding and it's getting back calm. And I'm like, well, this
Yeah.
is probably from my diet now.
And so your allergist wants you to start adding these things in, right?
Well, I seen him one time and he did just looked at him and said, this is eczema. This could be genetic component. It also could be an allergy. And that's when we found out the dairy and eggs is what he was sensitive to from the skin tag test.
Yep.
But he said, well, you need to not change your diet because that's what I had been doing before I even went to see a dermatologist or an allergist. I just, found this group and I just did my research. But I really don't know what I should be doing because he just flares up and he's itching all over.
Maybe give it a little time with like, also add a probiotic possibly. Ask your pediatrician.
So he is getting one. I think it's a culturelle. I am giving him that.
I'm not a fan of cultural because it's pretty much dead and you're wasting your money, in my opinion.
Okay, which one should I get?
I would say a good one would be smidge sensitive. And if you go
Okay.
inside the program and you look at a ferment a day keeps the doctor away, you'll see if you want to get it through full script, which was where my dispensary is, you can order from there. Make sure that it's stored in the fridge. So basically you're gonna do a little bit of healing, gut healing, and then you slowly introduce the foods. The reason why you want to introduce these allergen foods is so that the allergy doesn't get worse and the body gets used to it.
Okay. So start the new probiotics for a little bit and then introduce the foods. Is he okay with oatmeal? Because that's something that he has been doing well with. The oatmeal cereal.
Yeah,
okay.
I think oatmeal is great. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Sorry for all the questions.
Oh, I love your questions. Don't be sorry. And thank you for being here. And if you have any other questions, and I think you missed the beginning, I'm gonna have this whole video inside the closed group. Make sure you have access to it and ask any other questions in there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Christine, hello. Christine Ripka. There's two Christines. Did you want to ask your question? You just want.
Hi there.
Hi.
So this is my first time on a call with you. I know I had messaged you on Facebook. So we have a holistic pediatrician we've been working with, nutritionist. They did the MRT test, the IgE test. I've heard both things. I've heard they're accurate. I've heard they're not accurate. And then I also have an allergist who says don't avoid any food. If you avoid it more than 2 weeks, you have a likelihood to gain more allergies. So I just don't really know if I should be avoiding food or not.
I haven't heard 2 weeks. That's really.
Yeah.
We don't want to avoid things forever. We want to reintroduce everything as quickly as we can. But if you allow the gut to heal a bit, then the food is not going to cross through a leaky gut into the bloodstream. And then you're not going to have a huge reaction. So that's what we're working on, is healing all those anything that's leaky, so that it's not leaking through into the bloodstream that's causing your child's allergies.
Okay.
I actually, because I don't have the results I'm not your child's doctor. I don't have the exact results. So I can't really give you advice that negates or changes what your doctor's recommended. So, because allergies are always so different. So I wish I could be like, you should do this instead, but I can't do that because it wouldn't be right. I don't have the same information. Your allergist is looking very specific numbers of specific tests when they determine.
Have you heard that before? If you avoid food for too long, you can gain an allergy?
Yes, exactly. I did. And that's why we want to bring back gluten, bring back dairy. If those were avoided, so we avoid the development of bad allergies, but this is for 4 weeks. We don't want to keep it up forever,
Okay.
especially in younger kids.
Okay, because we have a 2.5-year-old. He's been dairy gluten free for 5 months now. Is that a concern?
5 months?
Mm-hmm.
How old is your child?
2.5.
I think that, you know, if there's no, is there an allergy that your allergist said don't give those things, or you just decided
No,
not to give it?
it was the IgE test. They said
Oh,
he's
okay.
with the weed and the dairy.
The goal is to bring them back. So there's
Okay.
yeah, it's, I mean, is it a concern? Like, everyone's different, but yes, you can create bigger problems if you avoid it too long. For everyone, that's a different number. I haven't heard 2 weeks, but 4 weeks is most healing protocols for autoimmune disease and just like all kinds of chronic health issues. The first thing we do in functional medicine is to remove highly inflammatory foods like dairy and gluten, just even if they're very heavy, if they're not allergens. But if,
Okay.
you know, if a growing child does need to be exposed to things, not in their bloodstream, not, that's why, you know, this is the allergy. Like, your child should be able to eat all the things. There's nothing wrong with nuts, eggs, gluten, dairy. Why is your child reacting so strongly to it? It's because it's leaking into the bloodstream. That's called leaky gut. So that's why we work so much on stocks and broths to heal and seal the gut lining, fermented foods to restore the microbiome, to support that gut lining so that nothing else leaks through those tight junctions that are leaky.
And he is a very picky eater. So to introduce fermented foods, I don't know how to do that.
High quality probiotic also is a nice bridge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes, who is this?
Yeah. So just like she asked, it's almost like it'll be for me also like 5 months. Both my kids, I'm not giving them milk or gluten, and I'm thinking I'll give them 1 more month for healing. I mean, it's not completely, but it's a better progress than where they were. So is it fine, or like once in a while should I give them dairy and gluten? Because 6 months I know is a lot, but I want to go slowly because every time I change, it's like very hard for me.
Okay, so add one thing at a time. Like, maybe start with histamine rich foods. If everything is fine, then go to dairy. If everything is fine, go to gluten, or the other way around. You could look at the reintroduction protocol that I have inside the group. Just don't make too many changes at the same time.
Okay, sure. And I wanted to know about the coconut water, which we get in Costco. Is it good? Like, off late, my daughter likes it because I heard it's good in magnesium.
It's good
Like,
if it's good if it's high quality. Like, if it's really coconut water and it's not pasteurized, nothing added to it. I mean, like, if you could get, so it depends on the product.
Okay.
But it's been sitting in a carton for forever. Like, I don't really know if it's like healthy food. But if you could get a coconut, some people live in places like this.
Thailand and
Then
India.
yes, it's great.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
And one last question regarding the soups. I'm not giving the bone broth because of the high histamine load, which I cannot give to my kids. And also my kids were reacting to the seaweed, which was in the vegetarian. So I'm not giving anything of the seaweed or the mushrooms. So I'm just giving them only onions, ginger, garlic, and some different kind of local vegetables. I'm just adding it and boiling it for like 2 hours and giving that as a soup. Will that still work?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I love the local vegetable part.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. Thank you. Good questions. Let's see. I have some questions in the chat box. Dana asked, do you know if Haya or Florigen is a dead probiotic too? I'm not sure. You could do the milk test. I actually outlined it inside the probiotic section inside of supplements module about how to do it, but you could try that. And then I was having my she said, I was having my 7-year-old taking a multivitamin from Haya. Should I stop this while I'm jumping on the 30 days? No, you don't need to stop the supplements. Haya is generally a pretty good one. Although I don't actually recommend multivitamins in general for improvement, to be honest, as part of the protocol. So that's, I think, yeah. I think those are all the questions inside the chat box. Novia, did I answer your question? I don't recall. I think I did.
Yeah, but I
Or did
maybe
you have
have
another
one more.
Yes, yes.
I know everybody keeps asking about the, the allergy test and all that. But we are at 8 years old, and, we've always done periods where we took things off and reintroduced them. And so I know you keep saying that, the longer they go without these things, then they can develop an allergy. But here we are at 8 years old. I don't know, like, can I still reintroduce these at some point, even though her IG test said, take them out? But how long should I wait? Because I know everybody's.
Yeah, so it depends. Another option is to go to an allergist and have them do food reintroduction challenges. And they would, let's say it's egg, so they would take you through the process of reintroducing like baked egg first. They would do it under supervision if it's like an anaphylactic problem. They also
No, and it's not. That's why I'm like, if it's just what's causing the eczema,
so
I mean, can we just clear up and then bring it back maybe at some point?
Yeah, so the goal is to heal and seal the gut lining and then calm the inflammation and then bring it back if it's not.
But since she's, 8 years old now, and we've been dealing with this since she's a baby, I guess how long? Because I feel like if we heal her and it's, been a month, I don't feel like that's enough time.
You could take your time. So if it's not an anaphylactic allergy, if it's just IgE testing, you could take your time. Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't want to bring it back for like a year. It was my thinking, like, oh, let's heal her gut, be healthy, be good for like a year, and then bring one item, I don't know, maybe a gluten item and try it, or oats that was like the lowest level or something, and see what happens. But I just didn't want to bring them in until way later.
So, yeah, there's really.
I feel like
if she's
every time
cleared,
we wait,
if she's completely cleared in like a month, you can consider bringing back something low on that allergy.
On that.
Yeah, and then watching for maybe she's not allergic
to reaction. Yeah. I know, that's why I'm like, I just feel like, you take things, or like, I feel like her body just develops a new sensitivity to something, because like you said, it leaks through, her body's just not, but it's not that she's allergic, it's just that her body's not healthy enough to have something in that range. And I just feel like that's what happens every year. We are sensitive to something new, but maybe because it's just not healed.
Exactly why addressing the problem with just removing things like we do in conventional medicine. We go, okay, this is a trigger, we just remove it. And then putting band-aids on the problem is never going to, you're always going to end up with a child with more and more allergies.
That's where I feel like I'm at 8 years old. I'm like, okay, like how do I go back from all this?
You are doing it now. You're doing it now. So that's exactly what you're doing. And time flies and it's going to get better. You'll see it's going to get better. It always does. It might take some time. It will be 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
That's what I'm trying to remember. The whole 2 steps forward.
100 times. And then if you feel bad, if you feel overwhelmed, go inside the group and write how you feel. And then 1,000 people are going to make you feel better.
That's what I got to remember, like when I'm feeling like that.
Yeah, I know how you feel. I've been that parent too. I feel you. I really do. Because you're probably thinking, like, I did this to my kid. I did the wrong approach. How did I not know? Why didn't they tell me?
I did it to my other kid. My other kid had the same issue, and he's 16 and doesn't eat nothing.
Who here has felt that way? Like, why didn't they tell me? What did I do? Why is this happening? Feeling so overwhelmed. I think everyone here knows how you feel. You're not alone, and you're doing everything right now, and it's gonna get better. And when it's a girl,
it's my girl.
She's gonna get better. She's not gonna be a teenager with allergies. That's it.
That's what I'm hoping for.
So that's what I'm hoping for too.
Is there a part? I know it's been a little bit since I've been in and logged in and read through the modules, but is there a specific maybe section that I need to go back and reread that talks about all of this again?
Not really, actually.
No, right? It's just like little pieces, little by little, I think is what I remember.
it's really hard for me to generalize because everyone's allergy test is
different,
different.
yeah.
Everyone's allergy picture different. Sometimes we're talking about food allergies, seasonal
Mhm.
allergies, anaphylactic allergies, sensitivities. It's like
Right,
impossible
right.
to generalize. I do say you should always follow the recommendations of your allergist, doctors, and dermatologists.
Right. Okay, well, thank you. That's what I was curious about.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Wow, it's almost 4. You guys are amazing. You've been here for a long time, so I really applaud you. Any other questions that you want to ask me now? Last call. Thank you. I would love to end this on a super positive note. So maybe in the chat box, write if you're still here, if you have a second, write how you're feeling. Are you feeling better? Are you feeling worse? Are you feeling empowered? Maybe a word or two. I'll start. I am excited because I feel like this is such a great group, and I just so grateful to be able to share this life-changing and valuable information with you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyone else want to share how they feel? Write it in the chat box or say it out loud. So yeah, or yeah, I'll give you a second. And while we do this, I just want to recap that this video, if you missed any part of it, is going to be in a couple of days inside the closed group, and will also be under live teaching by Dr. Glusman. That's a separate module. You'll see so many videos there. It's going to be dated, so you know where to find it. If you miss anything, you'll be able to catch up and make sure you have access to the digital program. That's where all the details are. And I'm just going to read some of the comments. Jade wrote, I'm excited and ready. Christina, thank you for the encouragement. I can't tell you how many times I blame myself or feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Christina, you're on the right track now. Please don't feel bad. Although it's harder, it's easier said than done. So I totally respect that. Jade said a little anxious because vaccines are coming up. So remembering that's 2 steps forward and 1 step back is going to keep me going. I'm happy that you have something to recall and fall back on. And I hope that detox protocol helps. Dana said, I'm excited to learn a way of healing for my child's body, and I'm motivated to go and read many of the resources you created. Thank you so much. It's a lot to read. It's very nerdy. Thank you. Nuvia wrote, I'm putting on my armor of empowerment. I love that. Armor of empowerment, because we will conquer eczema. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. And if you're feeling discouraged, there are a lot of people inside the group that are really excited to encourage you, because they've been there and they've succeeded and they've been in the same shoes and they went through this whole process. So just lean on the group for support. This is a very powerful community. Denise and York wrote, grateful. I feel there's really someone that's caring and really interested in helping my child. Thank you so much for your very kind words. I appreciate it. So, okay, so it's 4 o'clock. I have to go pick up my daughter from school. I'll be like, sorry, I was late again. So I couldn't get off the call. It was too good. She'll understand. She is rooting for this program to be successful also. She's 10. Thank you, everybody. I am so very happy that we connected today, and I will talk to you in about 2 weeks. Bye. Good day, everybody.